we've got a lot of followers of this show that are very familiar actually with that video. So they're quite excited to hear that we're going to be doing the first extended interview with you about that video. There's lots of conspiracies related to that video.
Oh,
so on.
Yeah.
I had seen it quite a bit ago, and then of course watched it again this morning to prepare for this interview, and it kind of struck me that it is a pretty incredible video. It's almost like the beginning of a Quentin Tarantino movie, because
It is.
you go through all of the phases of the shooting from the absolute beginning, being away from the scene, and then just like you're in a movie, you pull through the scene, actually pick up people from the event, and then exit the scene. So it's, if anybody hasn't seen it, I know that you've got a channel, Cori Langdon, on YouTube, and they can watch the video. What we're going to do is play it for people, and allow you to kind of walk us through it as we're listening to it. So I think
that's awesome.
Yeah, I think I'll be able to cover all the questions that we have, and I know others have, just by playing it. So
yeah.
I just hit it on my computer, but I'm gonna try and do something tricky here on my computer while we're doing that, which is record it. Why don't we start, as I'm trying to get it queued up, with quick background of that night. Were you at the Luxor when it started? When the video starts?
No, I was at the Mandalay Bay.
It was Mandalay Bay. Okay, you see a Luxor sign, but I know they're right next to each other, so that's probably the confusion. But you were at Mandalay Bay, and first question is, what caused you to turn on the iPhone recording to begin with?
I had heard the 2 or 3 cracks, the firecrackers. I thought, well, that's really weird, and I guess those were his or whoever's. Whoever did the shooting. I think it was Paddock, but I can expand on that. But I just thought, oh, well, that's weird. That's firecrackers, and there's the concert across the street, that country concert. Okay, so that's probably what it was. And I had my window rolled down. It was a nice, warm night, beautiful night, perfect night. And then a few moments later, I heard the first volley. And I thought, well, that's really weird. I guess it's still the firecrackers going up, but I couldn't see any fireworks or anything. And then a few moments later, there's the second volley, and I thought, well, what the hell is that? That sounds weird. I mean, is it, jackhammers? Because they do have the jackhammering at night. And yes, at that time, they were doing jackhammering and construction work in front of the Mandalay Bay. And they do it at night after 10 p.m. Then the third volley came, and I thought, well, this is really weird. And of course, you can hear my dispatch radio. The dispatch radio is we're able to talk to other taxi drivers on our channel. I don't know if it's CB or whatever it is, but you can talk to the other people, and that's what that is. That's who I am talking to.
So you started the video then at what point, after you had already heard what, as far as the bullets?
I think I started it after the 4th volley. So I didn't, from watching the other conspiracy, all the other videos where they're conspiracy or just talking about my video, as it turns out, I started it after the 4th video.
Okay, after the 4th volley. So probably a few minutes in?
4th volley.
Probably a few minutes in, and you started because at that point you began to suspect that something was going on.
Something was going on. I didn't know what it was, Jim, but I knew something was going on. Couldn't figure it out, but I like to document things. I mean, I was just up on in Anthem where the snow was last night, and I happened to be up there anyway because I got an Uber ride up there, and I got to see all the pretty snow falling, and I posted that on Facebook. It doesn't snow in Vegas very often. So I like to document things.
Yeah.
Well,
you did a good job documenting this. So I'm going to hit play, and then let's not talk over it. I'll just pause it at various points when I think it makes sense, when I'm going to have some questions for you. So here we go.
Sure. Absolutely. This is awesome. I've never done this before.
Cool. Okay, so I'm playing. We're hearing the bullets now, which again, even once you started the video, you're saying you didn't know yet that it was rifle fire.
No clue. No, you don't think that.
And
I don't hear it.
You were at Mandalay Bay, basically what, waiting in line to go for pickups?
I was waiting in line at the taxi line. I can't hear it.
Yeah, well, there's not much happening right now, but hopefully you'll be able to hear it soon. You're just sitting there right now. It's the car pulling in front of you. And now we hear the bullets again.
Yeah, it sounds like it's coming from farther away.
You say it sounds like it's coming from farther away. Can you hear that?
Right. Yes.
So you were trying to figure out where they were coming from. Meanwhile, the concert is basically catty corner from where you are, right?
Yes. Yes.
Now that's where they get super loud all of a sudden.
Yeah, that's when I went into that porticature.
And that's what's really confusing about the video when it comes to the audio on the shots. At that one time, it's super loud. The rest of the time, it sounds more faint. What's your thinking about that?
Well, when I said it sounds like it's coming from farther away, I guess I have to assume that my theory is that that's when the shooter turned around and shot at either Campos or the engineer guy. And there was actually another video that synchronized my video and Shucks, the engineer guys, together, and they synchronized that's when he was shooting at Shuck. But then of course, the video goes on.
Yeah, that's really interesting.
The sync ones are really cool. The sync videos where they sync my video and the cop videos, the body cam videos and other videos together. I think it's really cool.
But let me ask you, why would it be so much louder when he's shooting at the door as opposed to out the window?
No, it wasn't as loud when he was turning and shooting at the door.
Okay, but he only shot at the door once. When I played the video, we're going to play it all now, and people will hear it. But most of the shooting that you hear through your recording, it sounds fairly distant. There's one burst where it's really loud, the one we just played.
Right, that's when I'm going underneath the porticature, the little tunnel thing.
Okay, so you think that was simply because of your proximity to where the shooting was happening?
There's been so many theories about that, Jim. I don't know what to say. People have done, video conspiracy or videos. We won't call them conspiracy videos. Well, people have done videos theorizing, well, that's where the second shooter was. He was above where she was, and then there was 3 shooters. There was one in the bush and over there. I was there, Jim, and to me, there was one shooter at the Mandalay Bay. Whether it was Paddock, whether it was somebody, had him, the conspiracy theorists say that he was bound and gagged and that they were shooting. To me, there was only one shooter.
Well, we certainly...
I think there was somebody...
Let me ask you this. Based on the Las Vegas police report and the FBI report, they certainly have concluded that there was only one shooter, and it certainly appears that we're over a year out. We don't have any concrete evidence of any other shooter. But, lost you for a second. You came back. Turn your camera, though.
I'm back.
Yeah, you're sideways on me now, though.
Okay.
There you go. Whoa, you're lying down, and now you're sitting back up again.
Okay. Sorry.
So my question is, in your mind at the time, did it seem to you as if there was one shooter or more than one?
It seemed to me, and I've said this before in other interviews, to me, when I heard it coming from farther away, a lot lighter sound, in my head, even though I didn't know if it was a shooter or what the hell was going on, in my head, I saw a little man scurrying around to different places in the hotel. I never once thought that there was a shooter behind me, right above my head, next to me, in front of me. And you know what? I don't know why, but I was never scared when I was there. I was just, it was too surreal. It was too surreal. It was crazy. I was, people called me brain dead and an idiot and all kinds of other things for not leaving, but I just didn't know what was going on, and I knew that I wanted to record it. By this time, I knew something was going on.
But if you had to bet on it at the time, you would have bet that it was a single shooter going around inside Mandalay Bay.
Yes.
Mm-hmm. Okay, let's go back to playing it, and I know that
I'm not sure why people aren't running, but
yeah,
there's a security guard. What's he doing?
You really questioned a lot people's reaction to it, but you're even acknowledging that your own reaction to it was not very normal or what you would have expected.
Sure doesn't. Right. People are running.
So you were expecting to see people running in part because you thought this was happening in the lobby.
I did. I thought it was happening upstairs. I thought it was in the lobby. I expected to see all kinds of people running out screaming. And hopefully I would have stopped and picked up some people, if they banging on my car. I would like to think that I would have done that, but where are the cops at?
Yeah, so now I see that you're pulling now toward the lobby behind a line of cab drivers.
Right.
They're just pulling in as if it's any other day too at this point.
Yeah. And I tell you what, the reason that I finally got out of line is because you can hear my supervisor came on to the dispatch radio and said, okay, well, I talked to the cops at the airport, and they said that there's a shooter at the Mandalay Bay. There's multiple casualties, and get out of there, and don't be around, and don't go near the Mandalay Bay. And so I'm still seeing nothing going on. And I thought, well, something's just not right. But I decided I better get out of the line. And then, I don't know, I talked to some people. They were just standing everybody's standing around.
Yeah, I'm still playing it. It is pretty shocking considering what you're hearing. And at this point, you're now assuming automatic rifle, correct?
I'm now what?
Assuming that's an automatic rifle.
Yes, because they had said, my dispatcher had said, you know what, there's somebody shooting and we got multiple casualties. Now, I still thought that there was multiple casualties inside the Mandalay Bay.
So you finally say now, I'm leaving. We're 4 minutes into the video, and that's when you, for the first time, say, basically, I'm getting out of here. Now you pull up in front. You see people standing. You say people just standing around.
Yeah.
Which now, in retrospect, the explanation for that is that it wasn't happening in the lobby.
Right.
Now, at this point, did you realize that it was happening at the concert?
No, I didn't think it was at any. I thought it was happening in the Mandalay Bay.
Mm-hmm. So you probably didn't realize it happened at the concert until you came upon all the people streaming out of the concert.
Exactly. Yeah.
Okay, now you're pulling out, and at some point, you do look up at the hotel.
Yeah, and you
say, "Oh shit!"
Strobe light.
Yes.
You can see the strobe light going, and that's where a lot of the conspiracy theories started with my video, and then there was one other video from that night that showed the strobe light. And yes, I thought that's where it was coming from, that 4th floor or 10th floor or whatever it was.
Yeah. This is at the 5-minute mark. At the 5-minute mark of your video is where you see light flashing from about the 5th or 6th floor, and one might assume that that's gun flash, but it's instead it's a reflection. Yeah. So when you saw that,
Supposedly
you thought, holy cow, that's where he's shooting from.
Holy cow, that's where he's shooting from.
In which case, you must have really felt imperiled because you were right below him.
No. I didn't feel imperiled at all. I was documenting. I don't know.
In retrospect, you probably should have, right?
I probably should have. And apparently I was in the line of fire at a few points, according to some of the other videos. Oh, well, some of the other videos that are deciphering and pulling apart my video.
So now you're pulling out. Go ahead.
Oh, I said, you know that people thought that I was one of the. Look at this. Catherine Lombardo commented on your post. Catherine Lombardo, you know who that is, right?
Yeah, they should be in a mediation soon.
Yeah. I'm wondering if they're gonna mediate me.
Oh, the taxi drivers are gone now.
Okay.
Well, so have you heard of? Is it possible that have you heard that your video may be used in evidence?
I know that it has been used by the Mandalay Bay. As it turns out, the New York Times, when they've done a couple of these synchronized videos, and they used my video, and actually the New York Times director guy, he actually won. I don't know if he won an Emmy for that one, or no, Peabody Award. I don't know. Sorry, I don't know. An award. And he said, "Thank you very much. You really helped with the investigation." Now this was 2 months in, before any of the police body cams had come out.
It's coming from like the 10th floor of Mandalay Bay.
Here's where your reporting is coming from. You think the 10th floor. And what street are you driving down now?
That is Mandalay Bay Road. I'm getting ready to cross over Las Vegas Boulevard and then get onto Giles Street. I decided to go see what was going on at the country festival.
At this point, you were thinking maybe it was going on at the festival?
I wasn't sure, but that's when I see all the cops around. And
were you thinking I'm going to go to the festival to pick up a fare, or I'm going to the festival to see?
See what was going on. Yeah, I'm a looky-loo, man. I'm a rubbernecker. And I wanted to see if people knew. Maybe I could, warn people or pick people up or get a fare or whatever. But I still am documenting. I like to be where the action is. I've been known, I don't do it anymore, but I was known to follow cop cars to see what the hell was going on. If they all had their sirens on so that I could film it.
Did you ever stumble upon some interesting video before?
I have actually. I need to post it to my my website, my YouTube. Right out in front of my house, about 2 months later, after this awful thing happened, there was a car on fire, and it just burned to a crisp, a barbecue. And I did that, and I posted other things. When the pods, we have the big Ferris wheel, and when they were bringing in the huge pods that fit 40 people, they were coming in on a parade at 2 o'clock in the morning, and I filmed that. I need to post all these things.
Yeah, well, you got a YouTube channel now.
Kind of cool.
Okay, so now I've got you pulling in, and you just got a pop up on your taxi cab monitor telling you about, and now the people are about to come out. So tell me, I'm going to pause it here just before these people get in your cab, and tell me what was going through your mind now that you see all the people streaming out and jumping over the fence.
Well, I was still in denial. I thought I couldn't put two and two together. I couldn't think, well, wait a minute now. So that was somebody shooting out into the crowd, because I thought it was at the Mandalay Bay. And they were telling me on my dispatch radio that it was that the cops had said it was at the Mandalay Bay. So I had all kinds of crazy stuff going through my head. I thought maybe the bleachers had collapsed and there was people running, and it didn't. I still didn't put two and two together until those people got in my car and said, active shooter. And I thought, uh-oh, this is really happening. And that's when I got upset, really scared, and started shaking the video. You can see me shaking the video pretty soon.
Yeah.
That's when
Okay,
I realized,
let's
something really, really, really bad on.
yeah, let's play about the next minute and listen to it because it's pretty wild. I mean, these people are really freaked out.
They're scared shitless.
They're really freaked out. Let's play it.
Yeah, you got people climbing over the fence here at the festival and people running around.
I think the people that you pick up are probably just about to come out. Here's a huge stream of people coming out now.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's people running. I guess it was at the festival then, but it sounded like it was at Mandalay Bay.
So now for the first time you're thinking...
Yeah, still hadn't figured it out. Yeah. So then I thought the active shooter was at and he could, there could have been somebody there, saying there isn't. But I thought, I guess the shooter's at...
Here come the people.
Festival. Yeah.
All right, let's listen to this.
Yeah, okay. Is there somebody out there? I know. You know what's happening. All right. No, okay. All right. Oh, God, there is an active shooter. Okay. So many people are down. Are you kidding me? All right.
Okay, let's freeze it there and let's talk about who hopped in your cab. First of all, am I correct that someone said something about a broken leg?
She didn't have a broken leg. She wanted a cab ride. She wanted to get in my car.
Is that what?
Get away from the active shooter.
Was she the one who said I have a broken leg? Or was it the guy?
Well, the man that was with her said that she had a broken leg. Broken leg. I said, okay, get in.
Okay, and that's the last you heard about the broken leg?
Other people got it. That's the last I heard. I asked
about the
them
broken
if they
leg.
wanted to go to the hospital about the broken leg, and they said, no, can you take me to a nice hotel?
So your theory would be they're in survival mode. They're trying to get into any car they can get into. Absolutely. And they think to say she has a broken leg,
And
yeah.
I would, something I do too.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's hard.
On the taxi.
That's why I say that they're in survival mode. It's hard to fault anybody for just about anything that took place that night, considering the circumstances. But
absolutely, it is.
Yeah, and as it turns out, it wasn't necessarily. I mean, people who had been shot were the ones that you would want to have seen taken care of first, obviously.
Of course, yeah.
But in their minds, they probably thought there was one or more active shooters on the ground at the time they hopped in your cab.
Absolutely, and that's when I thought so too. I kind of forgot about what was the gunshots at the Mandalay Bay, and I thought, well, I guess it's going here. And in the meantime, I'm still trying to process this. I'm still in denial that something terrible is happening. I'm still wondering what the hell is going on. It was just absolutely surreal, Jim. It was the craziest moment of my life.
Okay, so this was a guy and his wife or girlfriend. We don't know.
Right. Well, there was 5 people altogether.
Well, I'm going to get to the others. I want to start with these two. So, did you ever learn anything more from them? For instance, where are they from or anything?
Yeah, they start to talk about it on the video. I think they were all from California.
Okay. So they get in first, and then as you start to pull away, more jump in?
3 other people jumped in. I didn't even see them get in. I just finally turned around and saw that there was a bunch of people in my car. And then there was a bunch of people, banging on my taxi and banging on the hood. This one guy's going like this, and I felt so bad, but it was after the shooting had ended, so I know that he did not get shot, that he was okay physically.
But people desperate to get in your cab. That was the mood.
People were trying to still get my cab.
So the 5 people
on video.
Am I right that 4 got in the back and 1 was in the front?
They all crowded into the back, and the one chick, I call her Miss Thang to this day. She's kind of leaning over, and she's the one that's doing most of the talking.
Oh, okay, yeah, it was a weird angle that we see in the video. So all 5 were in the back the whole time?
5 were back seat, yeah.
Wow. Okay, let's go back to playing the video and listen to this.
Okay, close the door. Close the door.
I didn't want anybody else getting in.
Close the door. Is everybody in? Oh my God. Okay. All right. I'm going. Oh shit.
What did you see when you said "oh shit"?
I'm not sure. I could have, that could have been when I saw somebody laying on the ground, and they were attending to them, and then somebody was standing over her and raises his arm and says, you know, help, and I feel I didn't want anybody else to, only because I thought that there would be a stampede, people would get more hurt. And I said, I've got a full cab. I can't take anybody else. I probably could have taken 1 or 2 more people in the front seat, but I did not. So that was probably the oh shit. And then plus I'm like, oh my God, this is really happening. It's starting to come to me.
Did you see blood anywhere?
You know what? This is what gets conspiracy theorists. It makes them think that the whole thing was a hoax. I did not see 1 drop of blood that night. It's the craziest thing. One of the girls turns to the other girl in the back and says, "Oh my God, you're covered in blood. Your T-shirt is covered in blood." And so I still had the camera going forward, and I turned around and looked at her shirt. She's looking at this little, what I thought it looked like a little chocolate ice cream stain. But they were saying, oh my God, you're covered in blood. Maybe I didn't see it right. It was kind of dark in there. But I didn't see.
Oh, we lost your audio. Cori, come back. You still see her? She's gone, and now it's going to reconnect. Yeah, we lost you for a second there.
Okay.
And now it turned your video again. Okay.
Yeah, okay.
So perhaps one of the girls in the back had a blood stain on her.
I guess so.
Yeah.
They said that she was covered in blood. You know, again, these people were freaked out of their minds.
Yeah. So, well, and another reason why you pulled the heck out of there is that they were yelling at you to go, 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 go.
They were screaming. Yeah. And I do want to talk about something that Miss Thang said. I don't know if you want to want me to talk about it now, or you want to keep going with the video?
Go ahead. This is your name for her is what? Miss Thang?
Thang.
How'd you come up with that name?
Because she was the most boisterous, and I'll tell you why. After the video, I posted my video on Facebook for my friends to see, and I guess you know, it ended up going viral. I guess my friends thought it was pertinent enough to keep sharing, and it on Facebook the first few hours it got 22,000 shares and I think like 1 or 2 million views. And so on Monday, Miss Thang, the young woman, she's about 30, she lives in California. She contacted me through Facebook Messenger, and she says, I want you to take your video down. And I was like, what? Why? I said, why? Why do you want me to take it down? And she says, because I feel like you are capitalizing on the worst moment of my life. And I texted her back and I said, well, I'm sorry that you think that. You know, it's already been shared 22,000 times, and people have already seen your face. I'm sorry that I showed your face. That was my bad, Jim. I should not have turned the camera on her face when she was talking to her mother. My bad. I said, what I can do is I can, you know, take it down, take the video off of Facebook, and take out the names, because they were saying their names. Some of them were saying their last names and where they're from, and what they did, you know, for what they were doing, and I said, I can do that. I can take it down, but I'm not going to take down the video. It's too late to take down the video, but I will, you know, blur out your face and bleep the names, people saying their names and who they're calling and things like that. And she says, okay, well, I'm sorry. I'm just really upset. And I'm having to relive this over and over again, because people were posting on her Facebook page and calling her and saying, oh my God, Susie Q, is this you? Is this you? And so she has to keep living it over and over and over again. So then after I took it down, my friend, I don't know how to do that kind of stuff, and I just have the email, I'm sorry, the iPhone right now. So my friend says, oh, well, I can, you know, go ahead and edit it and bleep out the names and bleep out her, but she couldn't put it back onto the same Facebook post. I had to start a new post. And that's when everybody was going, oh my God, the government made, you know, made her take it down, and she must have been killed, and oh, we hope that you're okay. And I mean, there was just hundreds and hundreds of comments, you know, which included, oh my God, did the government kill you? Oh my God, see, the Democrats made her take it down. Oh my God, she's dead. Oh my God, it's not real. And oh, it was just all these crazy, crazy things. And I finally put it back up.
You're here to say that you voluntarily, you're here to say you voluntarily took it down to address this woman's concern.
I voluntarily to help tell them this thing, and it's best that they did. I didn't think it was a big deal, but it was a big deal, and I shouldn't have turned. Again, I didn't edit it. I just slapped it on the face. You know, the whole 18-minute thing, 18-minute video.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it was a mistake. Maybe it wasn't a mistake. I've heard all kinds of things. I've been called everything from a hero and an angel to a brain dead, like I said, you know, stupid, hideous creature, crisis actor. They thought that I had made the video myself, you know, and that that it was fake, and that I was pushing buttons, you know, making the sound go. When I had actually posted it, I posted it originally at 11 p.m., which was less than an hour after the shooting had stopped, after the bullets had stopped. Mm-hmm. And at first, Jim, it really, really bothered me. The people thought, you know, that he was my boyfriend. They thought that I was the second shooter. They thought that I had the second shooter in the back of my car. And it bothered me. And now it doesn't bother me anymore. But the first week or two, it was just I couldn't believe it. And I was becoming the poster child for this horrible event that had happened. I had everybody from BBC to CNN to Fox News and Fox and Friends to some chick says, hey, you know, I live in Podunk, Indiana, and my boyfriend has a podcast, tinfoil hat or something like that. I know you probably don't want to go on, but could you? And I was like, oh, I didn't even answer some of these things. Europeans, Australian reporters, you know. And I said, why are you talking to me? You should be talking to the first responders. You should be talking to the cops, the nurses, the doctors. And they said, we don't know who they are yet, but we know your name. We know who you are. And the people want to know right now. And I only ended up doing a couple TV interviews because Miss Thang had said, you're capitalizing on the worst moment of my life. And
yeah, in fact,
think, wow,
I think the next
really
part of the video, we just missed it. But the guy asked you, are you videotaping this? And you said, yeah, I am.
You know, actually, he said, will you stop videotaping this? And he slapped my arm and tried to get me to drop the video or the cell phone. So if he had ever come after me for, oh, she said, you know, Miss Thang said she was gonna sue me for, oh, what is it? Where a character, I forgot to write it down. I'm sorry. Intellectual property. So if
Mhm.
she had tried to do that, I got to be honest. I may have tried to say, well, you assaulted me in the taxi cab, and that's a felony. And it says right on a sign in the taxi that if you attack a cab driver, that you can go to, that it's a felony. And I know that makes me sound bitchy, but you know, I had to cover my bases.
What do you think was going through his mind? Why was he upset about the videotaping?
I don't know. I don't know. I guess I can't speak for him. He did end up sending me a Facebook message saying, I looked at the video again, ma'am, and I have to say, he never said I'm sorry. I thought they treated me like shit, but people said that I treated them like shit. So, you know, I'm going to side with me saying I got treated like shit. I mean, this was the most critical time at the moment. I'm sure it was the most scared they've ever been in their entire lives. So I mean, I got to give them a pass. But he said, God bless you. And he didn't say thank you, but he did say, I understand now why you were confused. You didn't know what was going on, just as we didn't know what was going on. And you know what? I haven't written him back yet, because he was a dick to me in the car.
So
but I appreciate him contacting me, and that was her, Miss Thang's husband. So Mr. Thang.
Well, my little analysis of it, just watching it this morning, is that perhaps they had the impression that we're going through. There's a mass shooting going on. We've seen people hit. We've seen people go down. We've seen people bleeding,
exactly.
and so forth. And this woman,
yes,
is recording all this. Like, what is she, the Grim Reaper?
Yeah, exactly. Yes, absolutely.
And frankly, you know, you know, I think, as you said, both sides deserve a pass, because that's an understandable reaction for him to have, having just come from being in the middle of it. You were not in the middle of it. You didn't know what was going on. Right. You've been recording for the past 10 minutes trying to figure out what's going on.
Right. And you know, they had said that they were jumping over dead bodies. The woman, you know, his wife said that the guy behind her had just been shot in the head. And thank God they didn't. I mean, it's terrible that anybody got hurt and killed, and thank God for them that they're physically okay. Emotionally, I don't know. Mentally, I don't know. I'm sure many people have PTSD. I have a little bit too.
Yeah.
But I can see, I see your point, and I've thought about that. So.
Yeah, and you know, like any situation like this where many people watch something and all have opinions, if you read the comments where this video is posted, you see, as you point out, a lot of negative comments about you, a lot of positive comments about you, a lot of negative comments about them, positive. They came out not looking very good. I mean, a lot of people are saying, you know, typical self-absorbed millennials. But again, you know, when I watched it and listened to it, I'm like, you know, they're kind of acting like people that are super freaked out.
Shitless.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, what's going on? I got my video here. What the hell is going on? So
you had people. It was like men are from Mars, women are from Venus. You were like on a different planet than they were on. I was. Yeah, you guys were on two different planets, and understandably so.
Exactly. That's a very good way of putting it, Jim. Yeah.
Now, is one of the controversies pertaining to you the fact that you asked for the fare at the end?
Yeah. And so that's in the original video, with the 18-minute one. Yeah, I did. I asked for the fare because it was $11.40, and they were really pissy that I wanted $11.40 from them. And in retrospect now, I should not have asked them for $11.40. And that's when I got called the CUNT by these people. And you know, this terrible, horrible, awful, hideous creature asking them for $11.40. And in retrospect now, I would.
Let's go over that. And I'm not sure we need to play the rest of the video at this point, unless you want to, because you know people can watch it. The next about 7 or 8 minutes are right. them in the cab and trying to find where you guys are going to go. But to get to the fare issue, late in the game, he's upset that you're dropping them out of Vaughn's.
No. They wanted to get off at the Vaughn's.
Okay, but hold on a second. As you're pulling into the Vaughn's, he starts saying, "Whoa, I want to go to New York," and he offers you $100.
And I'm like, what?
New York, right?
Yeah, but I could hear on the dispatch that they had already closed down the strip and nobody could get onto the strip again except for the cops and the ambulances.
Look, so it makes no sense to me, considering the proximity of New York to where that shooting was, i.e. very close.
Yeah.
That's shocking to me that he would want to go back to that area. If I was
you. He wanted to get back to his room. He wanted to get back to the comfort of his hotel room, I guess.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, I guess so. So it wasn't clear to me that they were in fact staying at New York.
I think so. Either the Luxor or New York.
Yeah. So anyway, he offered you $100 cash to take it to New York, and you said no because strip is closed. And
I thought about it.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have been able to get through. I said, I'm not taking you anywhere back there. There's shots being fired. Why the hell would you want to go back there?
So here's my point.
Why do you want to go back where you were?
Here's my point. If he thinks that it's appropriate to pay you $100 cash to take him to New York, why is it inappropriate for them to pay your fare for where you just took them?
I don't know. He may have been the one that was not complaining. I think it was the women that were complaining. I don't think Mr. and Mrs. Thang were complaining. I think it was the other people. And it was the young couple that got in. They said that she had a broken leg. And then there was another woman. I don't think I ever even got her on film. She was sitting behind me, and she had actually, when she first got in, she had put her arms around me. And in a previous experience in the cab, somebody that was sitting behind me had put their arms around me and they were drunk and pretended to choke me, saying, okay, I don't want you to long haul me now. I don't want you to, so that scared me. That brought back, PTSD that somebody had jokingly tried to choke me. So I said, get off of me.
So when you asked for the fare, that's when you're saying one of the women called you the C word?
No, I never got called the C word. I got no. They were just mad and angry. They're like, what? No. Somebody called me the C word in the comments on my Facebook page.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
So
among other things.
So
if I don't, Jim, hang on. Let me tell you. If the customer does not pay the $11.40, guess who pays it? Me.
So did they pay it?
Yes. What happened is that at the Vaughn's, the broken leg couple, they got out, went over to Del Taco. And
by the way, when you saw them walk to Del Taco, she wasn't limping.
I didn't even see her walking to Del Taco. By then I had put the phone down. I didn't see her. I think they walked to Del Taco. I don't know. Maybe they walked inside the Vaughn's. I know that's the Vaughn's that I shop at. And the people that work there said there was dozens, if not hundreds of people that were sitting in that Vaughn's last, scared shitless. Because they had run all the way. And they didn't want to leave the Vaughn's.
Wow. So in that Vaughn's were people that were at the concert?
Later, yeah. They had kept on running, and it was at least a mile away.
Wow.
The Vaughn's, yeah. The other thing is that okay, so I took the couple and the other girl. I took them. I ended up taking them to the to Desert Inn and at Swenson. She was staying at an Airbnb, and the woman that I never even saw that was in the cab, she told the Miss Thang and her husband, you know, why don't you come to my Airbnb? Because I didn't know where a nice hotel. There isn't really nice hotels in that area. It's kind of in the hood, to be honest with you, and it's over by UNLV too. So I ended up taking them there, and the final fare was, I think, $19.48, and Mr. Thang gave me $40.
So two were dropped off at Vaughn's. The other three, gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah. So,
and by now I had started to go into shock, and I said, I'm not going to drive anymore. I knew, people said, well, why didn't you go back and pick up more people? Well, because A, I couldn't even drive myself. I was shaking so hard, and I was starting to go into shock. And B, they said that they had closed off the strip, and you could not get onto the strip. They were not letting any cars, taxis, shuttles, whatever, except for ambulances and cop cars and fire trucks onto the strip at that point. And Desert Inn, you can go over you go under and then over the freeway and the strip, and it's a straight shot back to my taxi yard. And that's why I said, no, I'm going to go back. And that's when I went back.
Well, to wrap up on the fare, I don't think you should beat yourself up too much over asking for the fare. When I first heard the story, I thought that you had taken shooting victims to the hospital. If you take shooting victims and they're being rushed out of the car and you're asking for a fare, that's one thing. But these people...
Oh, I never thought about that. Yeah. No, I would have never asked for the fare. Good God, no.
Here, if anything, you deserved double or triple fare, considering that you picked them up in those circumstances. So I don't think in that circumstances, I think through it, it's inappropriate. You shouldn't even have to ask for the fare. They should have immediately given you double or triple your fare, because at that point it looked like you saved their life.
They freaked out. Well, I didn't save their life, of course, but I mean, if in retrospect, I wish I would have turned around and said, so I just saved your asses and you can't give me $11 between the five of you, but I didn't think like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm just saying, in that moment, if I was them, I would be thinking you just saved my life, because you got me out of what was a horrific situation. In retrospect, we know you didn't technically save their life, but you got them out of a horrific situation.
Right.
So, but otherwise, it sounds like you hold no ill feelings toward them.
Oh, no, of course not. No. I would like to meet them someday, but I don't think they ever want to meet me. And actually, I got an email from somebody. I could tell that English was their second language. And it said, thank you for taking me cousin, M-I cousin, to safely. And it was a Hispanic last name. So I have to assume that was probably the woman, broken leg lady, because I think she was Hispanic.
Mm-hmm. Now, am I right that cab drivers kind of got a bad rap in general for their reaction to the shooting? That a lot of them were there and pull and pick people up. What's the story there?
The story is that we were hailed as heroes, and the Uber and Lyft drivers were hailed as heroes too, and I think that's good. I never have thought of myself as a hero, but I mean, no, they weren't mad at us. We couldn't get to the strip. We couldn't get back on. One of the guys that I had worked with, he worked until 7 a.m. picking people up that were wandering around, near the Vons and over on Maryland Parkway and over by UNLV. These people were just like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. and I don't know where he took them. But I mean, he had like 30 fares that night, and
But let me ask you, what was dispatch telling you guys to do? Because we heard initially dispatch saying stay away from that area.
right. Well, they said that we, don't go to the strip because you won't be able to get on. You don't have to come back to this. I didn't film this, of course. You don't have to come back to the yard, but stay safe. Be careful who you let in your cab, and the taxi companies, they're always ready to make money. So hey, go out and get those fares.
So you believe they were encouraging the drivers to go pick up Route 91 festival goers?
I don't know. No, I don't think so. No, they said stay away from the Route 91 festival. You can't get on the strip anywhere from the Mandalay Bay all the way up to, I believe, Sahara, the SLS. You couldn't get on the strip if you were a taxi. If you were a taxi or shuttle or Uber or whatever, they wouldn't let you on the strip. But there was many people wandering around, off the strip.
Well, what this tells me is perhaps a lack of emergency planning, because there's not enough ambulances to take these people. These people were hopping in the back of pickup trucks.
Yes.
We've all heard those stories of people piling in. You've got all these licensed cab drivers, and at this point, licensed Uber drivers, all connected to a central network. Maybe there should be some system in place that can use that network to use cab drivers and Uber drivers in emergency situations like this.
There should. Yeah, that's a good idea. Yeah. All these things that your theories and all these things you're saying, Jim, are things that I've never heard before. So you're a smart dude. And believe me, I've talked to a lot of people, and I've talked to many, many smart people.
Yeah. Well, thank you. We've been covering this for almost a year now.
Right.
And hindsight's 2020. One thing I've been saying again and again as I think about MGM Mandalay Bay, again, it's easy to say in retrospect, you had 20,000 people across the street from your hotel. You were the co-promoter of this event. What additional security did you have in place at your hotel to prevent something like this? It's easy to look back and say, oh, a guy sitting up there. Oh, I lost you a little bit. Did I?
Yeah. Last I heard was 20,000 people.
Yeah, I'm saying that with hindsight, it's easy to criticize MGM for apparently not having additional security at Mandalay Bay to protect against something like this, because in hindsight, it seems so obvious of a risk, considering where that hotel is and where the 20,000 people are and where he was perched, that it's something that you should have thought about and guarded against. They've got snipers on the strip for New Year's Eve. They got stripers in Times Square. So this idea of having snipers and so forth in place at something like this, that's been done. It wasn't done.
Well, I heard that now they do. Las Vegas does have snipers at every outdoor concert now.
Well, MGM has to answer to it now, because it's our understanding that this week they are in a mediation with the victims over their potential joint responsibility. Look, I hate holding anybody responsible other than the asshole who did this. But I have some sympathy toward the idea that I feel Mandalay Bay could have and should have had more in place to keep a guy from bringing 22 rifles into a room, especially when you've got 20,000 people across the street.
Right. Well, I've heard, I think you've had Doug Papa on your show, haven't you?
Yes.
Okay. That guy talks.
Yes.
He's a talker. He says that, and maybe you already know this, real quick, I don't mean to bring up more conspiracy theories or more rumors, but I have to believe Doug Papa says that the ex-brother-in-law of Jesus Campos, he says that Jesus Campos told this gentleman in confidence that they knew that Paddock had the weapons up there in his room, and they did nothing about it. Now, I don't know. I don't know. I know that this is the hidden truth, and I know, we're all trying to figure out what happened. I'm not a mainstream media girl, okay? I was before this happened, and now I've looked at things on the other side. And there is a lot of stuff that you kind of say, what the hell? What? I don't think it was the government. Like I said, I don't think it was the government. I don't think it was the Democrats. I don't think the Saudi prince. I don't know. Maybe it was a arms deal gone wrong.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, a couple things. I don't like the arms deal gone wrong theory, because why would you do an arms deal in the Mandalay Bay? It's like the dumbest place that you could do an arms deal. But regarding Mandalay Bay having information about him having guns there, we interviewed, as you may know, Bruce Paddock, his brother.
That was an interesting interview.
His brother says this is not the first time that Paddock brought guns into his room. And he talks as if and he talks as if MGM wouldn't be surprised at all that the people would be in there cleaning his room, and he would just point out that, well, I'm cleaning my guns. He's a high roller. He's a regular guest. He's a VIP. He goes to the shooting ranges in Las Vegas, and Bruce said that he was meticulous about cleaning his weapons. So it would not be unusual for him at all to go to the shooting range and then bring the guns up to his room to clean them. And if he got caught, he would simply say, oh, sorry, I'm just bringing these to my room to clean. And they were, oh, okay, Mr. Paddock, no problem. Who knows? They may have even allowed it. Or worst case would have said, oh, no problem, Mr. Paddock, but we've got a policy here. You're really not supposed to bring your guns into the room. So if you wouldn't mind, please leave. That's why he was cool as a cucumber when he was bringing the guns up. This wasn't some big nerve-wracking thing to him. He probably had done it before.
Right.
And he knew, worst case, he would simply say, oh, sorry, I was just going to clean them because I've been at the gun range.
Right.
So I'll have to look for that from Papa, though, as far as this relation to Campos saying that.
Yeah, it was in one of his Baltimore Examiner Intelligencer articles. He has a column, I guess.
Yeah. And, if a VIP high roller is bringing guns to his room, even that isn't an inherent red flag that he's about to do what he did. Right. That's just eccentric VIP. Most VIPs are eccentric.
Yeah.
Probably bring all kinds of crazy things into their rooms.
Yeah.
But, there was also the incident at Mandalay Bay, apparently a few years earlier, where someone else was caught with guns in the room. And that person, they did have reason to believe, intended to use the guns to shoot outside the window. So they were on notice based on that situation.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that MGM is negligent. I do. Mandalay Bay. And you know what? The Mandalay Bay has not taken any responsibility whatsoever for it. I mean, I've had people get in my cab or my Uber, and they say, well, is there some kind of memorial set up for them? And no, there's not. There's no memorial for them at the Mandalay Bay. And people think that's, tourists and conventioners think that's kind of strange. At the 1 year anniversary, they were supposed to turn the lights off at 10:05 for 15 minutes, on the strip, like all the marquees and everything. And they never did. I'm sitting there live with my video, and they never turned it off. And that was a slap in the face to the 58 angels and the victims and us. And they're not going to take responsibility.
Yep. That's the law firm seems to be running the show there, and not the business people, because
exactly.
the law firm is probably preventing them from doing anything that they would potentially want to do. I mean, they've also not, at least overtly, increased security. I've been there 2 or 3 times and checked out the elevators, and you can get on there without a key card. You can push a room floor without a key card. There's one security guy guarding 3 elevator banks. So so there's no increased security there. So that's pretty surprising.
Right. Yeah. It is. It's a very sad situation, and it was just a tragedy, and I guess I'm a part of it. And that's cool. It was meant to happen.
So everyone wants to know who's reached out to you about this video. Let's start with the FBI. Any communication with the FBI?
Oh yeah, they came over to my house. They sure did. They knocked on my door at 11 a.m. I was still sleeping. I guess I was awake because I work nights. And it was these two guys. They were in khakis. One guy had long hair, and the other guy, they looked like and they had like button-down shirts on. And I go, yeah, can I help you? And they showed me this clipboard that said FBI on it. And I said, well, it's about time you came over to talk to me, because it was literally like 8 or 9 days later. So they come over, and I just open up the door at 11 a.m. and let these two strange dudes into my house, and they sat down on the couch. And I tell you, they were they didn't seem like, the Tommy Lee Jones type of FBI guys. They were just normal guys. I guess they send over the really cool, hey, how's it going, guys to talk to people. And they started asking me questions, and they wanted to download the video and my video. And I said, well, haven't you already downloaded? And they're like, I don't know. So they couldn't download the video. And they just kind of seemed like, I said it before, I'll say it again, they seem like bumbling idiots. I had a friend say, well, maybe they weren't even FBI, Cori, because I never did see any ID from them. But I know that they said, okay, well, we're interviewing you, we're interviewing everybody. We are leaving no stone unturned. Okay, I want you to know that. But then when they left, they said, well, we just want to let you know that there was only one shooter, and he's dead. And I thought, I didn't say anything, because you don't really want to argue with the FBI when they're in your house sitting on the couch. But I thought, wait a minute, you just told me 5 minutes ago that you're leaving no stone unturned and still investigating, but now you're telling me there was just the one guy on the 32nd floor that made the shots, and he's dead. So that was my FBI experience.
Yeah, well, that is kind of consistent with things that you heard from Lombardo and from FBI, some kind of confusing things where on the one hand, they're going to do this big thorough investigation. On the other hand, we can already tell you that it wasn't terrorism.
Right.
I don't know how to explain that other than, they like to keep everybody calm. And
yeah, they want to come back. I mean, immediately Joe Lombardo gets on as soon as Evan said, okay, well, no, you know what? It's okay. He's dead. Come on back to Vegas and spend money. That was the absolute thing that was said. Okay, we got the head cop, and he's saying he's dead. Come back to Vegas. Come spend your money.
Yeah,
because we're a tourist town, for God's sakes.
Yeah, and they didn't want, arguably, people to think that it was terrorism, because that would also be upsetting to tourists to think that, yep, in fact, terrorism has hit the Strip, and this is just going to be the first of numerous attacks. If you can pin it, did I lose you? Yeah, if you can pin it if you can pin it on one lone crazy gunman, that would seem to be a little bit less disconcerting to tourists.
Right. Yeah, it would definitely. Yeah.
Even though now that the report's out, I mean, I assume did you see the FBI report?
Yeah, it was like 3 pages or something.
Right.
I just read about it. It said that they don't know. They don't know why he did it. Right.
Well, they come up with a theory as far as that he was losing money and that his mental and physical health was spiraling down. He's a narcissist psychopath, and narcissistic psychopaths don't like to continue to live if they can't live in a certain way. So he makes the decision to commit suicide, and but before doing so is going to seek infamy through this attack.
Yeah. What an asshole.
Yeah.
What a dick.
Yeah. But, in all of our reporting, I tend to agree with the report. I'd love to see more of the details, and there's a FOIA request out to get more of the details from that report. You know, what is it that absolutely confirms that ISIS had nothing to do with this, even though they claimed responsibility twice? I want to see that detail. But as far as the conclusions that the FBI drew, you know, I think that's where the best evidence points. Okay, anybody else? Anybody else besides, what about Las Vegas police?
Oh, what about them?
Did they come and see you?
No. The cops never came to see me. I tell you what, Ram Dennison, you've had him on your show. I did an interview with Ram Dennison for his movie, his new documentary coming out, and he basically said, he kept asking me questions about how bad the cops were, because he has motivation to talk about it. His movie is about, you know, the corruption in Las Vegas, and I kind of felt uncomfortable, you know, talking, just capping on the cops. But I may end up on the cutting room floor anyway. I've done interviews, Jim, and I did 2 hours for 2020. Matt Gutman interviewed me. They never on. I did a 2 hours Inside Edition. You know, they cut me. I was on the cutting room floor. So
apparently you weren't made out for Hollywood, huh?
I guess not. Well, they don't want to. You know, I think the producer probably said, "Oh my God, we're not going to put that big dyke on TV on our TV show." You know. Thank you for not being that way.
Yeah, well, Cori, actually, as it turns out, we probably aren't going to be able to get you on, but it was fun talking to you. That's a joke. That's a joke. You're going to be on. This is going to post Wednesday night. This is going to post Wednesday night at midnight. I really, really appreciate your time and coming on. I think it's insight that people haven't heard yet, and they're going to want to go check out your video at Cori Langdon channel on YouTube.
Yes. Hey, I wanted to say hi to Chris Vegas. Super, super nice guy. Really nice young man. Mr. Burgundy, he's got a really cool channel. And Mr. Visual. The other gentlemen, some of them have treated me very nice. But like the one gentleman, John Hoover, he thinks that I filmed the helicopter that was shooting people. And no, there was no helicopters shooting at people at the festival.